Today on Podium with Anthony, we're going to be speculating a little bit about WrestleMania 42. We're also going to go over Slammiversary and what all transpired over there. And we'll also be taking a look at all the great moments that happened at NXT this past Tuesday. And to round it off, we will have the first ever Podium Moments of the Week, which is the top 3 moments in the wrestling world, in Anthony's opinion. Oh man, if you're on YouTube, you just saw the brand new intro for Podium with Anthony. If you're on Spotify, you saw the more, not well-known, but the more known one that if you've been sticking around this channel for a little bit. Anyway, let's get into it. Welcome to TTP, Trust the Process. It's the Podium Podcast with Anthony. And I just got to say, thank you guys for the support. I've been seeing the increase in Instagram followers and everything. It's been amazing, just to say the least. And this is the first ever weekly series episode that I am doing on Podium Podcast. Now, if you've been a long-time follower since the very, very start, which, if you didn't know, actually started like before the first interview, which if you haven't checked it out, or if you're a new viewer here, welcome. Please be sure to check out the interviews. They are always fun, always great to do. Danny Astro was a great interview. Gideon Malice was a great interview. You can't go wrong watching either. Or since you're here, just go watch both. But be sure to watch this one to the end first. This is going to be a weekly series that we do throughout the whole week. This is a special one. It's going to be on a Saturday or a Friday. Whenever this gets out, happy weekend or almost weekend, depending on when this gets released. But it's going to be coming out every Thursday from here on out. And I got to give a huge shout out to Pure Pro Wrestling real quick. They are amazing people over there, and they reached out to me and offered to collaborate on some of my reels. And just got to give them a huge shout out before we get started. I appreciate it so much. And to repay the favor, let's just run through the dates that are coming up for them. If you're in the Michigan area, or if you want to stop by the Michigan area, Stand on Business by Pure Pro Wrestling will be happening in Westland, Michigan, August 9th, obviously 2025. Then after that, we'll have Summer Smash at Holland, Michigan, August 15th. And then Sumner Slam, August 16th and 17th. But on August 16th, there's 2 shows that are going to be happening, one at 11:30 a.m. and the other at 4 p.m. Be sure to go check out those shows. I just got to repay the favor somehow, as it means the world to me. And also, before we get into this, I want to give my respects to the families of Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan, as yesterday, at the time of this recording, Ozzy Osbourne passed away. And before I even clicked the camera on, it was announced that Hulk Hogan had passed away today. So I wish the families all the love and care that they can have. And very sorry for your loss. Now let's get straight into everything again. Welcome to the Podium Podcast with Anthony. If you're a new viewer, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, follow. If you're on Spotify, whatever you want to do. And let's get things started with Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes being rumored for WrestleMania 42. All right. I only saw a couple rumors about this, a couple inklings like, WWE might be going to do this as a way of, they know it would be a huge draw. Cody versus Roman has main evented WrestleMania 39, WrestleMania 40. It's always a big match feel. And especially with how things are looking, Cody Rhodes posting that tweet and some of his actions recently, him possibly turning heel, and Roman Reigns clearly being the babyface now. Even though he hasn't fully taken the mantle, it feels like he has. With his crowd interaction on Raw and the way he talks, it just instantly, it feels like we finally had that full babyface tribal chief, especially the way he's interacting with Jey Uso and everything. It just feels we finally have that babyface tribal chief, the one that is better than the big dog ever wish it could be, So, looking into that, we could see a changing of the tides. For WrestleMania 39 and 40, it was always Cody Rhodes. He's gonna finally finish his story. Babyface going in and all that, with Roman Reigns being the heel. Guy you just gotta beat. This time, it could be the opposite. Cody Rhodes put out that tweet that everyone in the wrestling world has seen by now about him, thanking the fans for the journey and how things need to change. And I don't see why not. Heel Cody Rhodes versus babyface Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42 as a main event would honestly be amazing. Especially with Seth Rollins' injury, even though he's probably going to be in time for WrestleMania. Injuries happen. I don't see him being out of WrestleMania. It could, though. Could very well, especially if they're keeping the Money in the Bank briefcase on him. Could very well happen. But the injury, obviously changed some plans. I remember watching Sam Roberts talk about how he wanted to see Seth versus Roman at WrestleMania. That I feel like would be the way to go. But obviously you can't fully do that with this. You could put Seth Rollins on, extended injury hiatus if he's able to be back in time before WrestleMania, and have him kind of repeat the catch-in of the century, where he comes running down to the ring or walking, depending on how bad his knee is, coming down to the ring and catching in on Roman, and Cody stealing it, and once again from Roman, as the cash-in was Roman versus Brock. So that could just be a great way to tie that all together. But just thinking about just pure Cody versus Roman alone, it's just such a big match feel. Roman Reigns, you see it every time he enters an arena. If you're a hater or a lover, everyone shuts up and just listens, watches Roman. Crowds erupt when his music hits. It's amazing. Everyone just starts acknowledging him. Cody Rhodes is no different. Being to multiple events where I've seen Cody Rhodes, the crowd loses their mind no matter what. There's plenty of Cody haters, but there's plenty of haters for everyone, right? And just seeing that crowd reaction, and especially if he becomes a heel, that's going to be even louder, I feel. So just seeing all that would make complete sense. You see it where, coming SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes beats John Cena. Let's say that happens, all right? Then Cody, during that, turns heel during the SummerSlam match. He doesn't have to, but he could. Puts John Cena back on the road for babyface. I think it's going to happen. Roman and Jey Uso beat the Bronze. And, they kind of, I feel like it'd stay a little distant a little bit. Roman's on Raw, Cody's on SmackDown. It just keeps going like that. You see Cody kind of working his way. I would love to see Cody versus Gunther again at Crown Jewel. I think that'll happen. Keep progressing a little farther. Royal Rumble. Would I say Roman Reigns wins it? Maybe, but he could. Cody still holds that title up until the Rumble. Have Roman Reigns win the Rumble or Elimination Chamber. Probably Rumble, though, just to build it up even more. Have him win. And that's when you can kind of start fueling that fire even more. Cody Rhodes talks about how, he could be... He still feels like he's the hero, but he's clearly not. Kind of living a false lie as a heel, which would work perfectly for him. Roman Reigns still has yet to get a championship shot since he lost his title. That can also fuel that fire. I love the thought of Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania 42. Like I said, it would make so much sense. It would honestly be the best route to go for Cody and Roman. Roman, you could say The Rock, but we know that he's going to be out for an extended time for filming and all that. While Cody Rhodes, you look at the roster, you see who could he take on at WrestleMania, right? Obviously, there's still Randy Orton, even though they kind of had that match just have a full heel Cody Rhodes versus a babyface Randy Orton. I don't really feel like that would hold the same level as Roman Reigns would, for example. And you look at Roman Reigns especially, like, besides The Rock, who else would he face at WrestleMania? Jey Uso? Then that would cause one of those two to turn heel, right? I just don't see how their paths aren't aligning at WrestleMania. It makes the most sense, honestly, out of everything we have going for us in the world of wrestling right now. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns would definitely be a big match. Honestly, this trilogy, if it turns into a trilogy, the third match might be the biggest because it'd be the most telltale. I mean, obviously, you can't beat WrestleMania 40. That was only the second WrestleMania I have ever watched live. I know I'm still relatively fresh in this wrestling world, but I don't know if there's ever going to be anything that beats just the feeling of WrestleMania 40. Everything about it was great. The ending was immaculate. There was no real bad things to say about WrestleMania 40. Like I said, it was great. My favorite WrestleMania I've seen to date. And honestly, it's probably quite a bit of people's as well. But just having that dynamic shift where it's this time Roman Reigns trying to save the company. Or not necessarily the company, but just trying to bring himself back to that Tribal Chief 1, as his new shirt says. It just, the story makes sense. The story aligns. Everything about it would just be amazing. But speaking of Cody Rhodes, this past SmackDown, where we started off with Jacob Fatu getting freaking arrested, to then Solo getting arrested, the real person that needed to be arrested was Cody Rhodes. He forged the signature of John Cena on live air, which, newsflash, is pretty illegal. I know, huge shocker there. So much for being a babyface, I guess. Maybe that was the real heel turn. Him committing forgery just on live air in front of thousands, millions of people. I don't know. Goofy Splash, loved it though. I don't know the whole point of grabbing the contract. I loved it though. It was great. That segment was pretty good, honestly. And let's look at Slammiversary actually real quick while we're at it. Oh wait, no, my bad. Speaking of that segment, it was clear to see that Cody Rhodes is completely done hesitating. Like, he hates John Cena. We can all see that. We all know that. We've been watching long enough. He grabbed that belt and didn't even think for a second to smash him across the face. I do feel making the match a street fight kind of gives away to that whole, let's see if he does something illegal. Like, not really illegal, but like, is he actually gonna smash his face with the belt? Is he actually gonna, low blow him, something like that. The whole street fight, because everything goes in one of those. So it's kind of like, I feel like it should have been just a regular match, but they were going through and making a lot of stipulations added for SummerSlam, like Solo and Jacob steel cage, which is a great addition. Adding that steel cage is going to add a lot more to it. I feel like that rivalry, that's exactly what it needs. Got Becky versus Lyra, no holds barred. Every time Becky and Lyra step into the ring, it's magic. No holds barred just adds a little spice to it. Can't complain about that. But the street fight for John and Cody, it's just, I don't know, it feels like it kind of takes away the moment in a way. The moment that hasn't even happened yet, but all signs are pointing to Cody doing anything he can, which I guess, in a match that anything goes, it kind of does that. With look back at Last Man Standing match against I Quit match with AJ Styles a year or two ago. Even though anything goes, he showed a healer side to him, picking up those stairs, threatening to bash AJ's head in, So it can still happen. I just feel like the effect won't be as intense. Now, please say I'm wrong, because I hope I am. I hope I'm just over speculating, overthinking this. But it just feels like if you do something illegal in a match where everything's legal, it's like, even if he low blows him, it's not like he can be like, oh, the ref's down, what's he gonna do, type stuff. So it's still gonna be interesting to see. I can't wait to watch it. Yeah. Still a little iffy on the street fight, but that's all right. Everything will work out in the end. We'll get our payoff, except for John Cena siding with The Rock. That part's not going to get paid off anytime soon, but that's all right. We don't even need to know why Travis Scott is or was a part of that. Obviously, he's not anymore, as they cut ties with him, it seems. So, one of the biggest mysteries, up there with Kevin Owens getting hit in the face with a pie. So we'll just see where all that leads us down. Let's also go to Slammiversary, where lots of stuff happened. Leon Slater has became the youngest ever X Division champion, beating out the amazing Red's original hold of that record. Great stuff. I think Leon Slater deserved it. Moose, I can't say I kept up with TNA too much during this time. I kept up with it before that, but during that, it was a little hard to find it on television and stuff like that. Ever since it came back on YouTube, been watching the crap out of that stuff. I don't know. It felt weird, but also like it doesn't feel like his title reign lasted as long as it did. It kind of feels like it happened. I don't really know anything memorable from it. If you are a huge TNA fan, please correct me in the comments. But I don't remember seeing much of the Moose title reign. And also, if Leon Slater didn't win, I think it would have been insane. That guy's over. You can hear it anytime he's there. And he was even the guy that had the AJ Styles return come to. So, you ready to fly? So good to finally hear that theme song. AJ Styles said he doesn't want to use it, but hey, TNA used it. It was great. Seeing him come back, though, the reception from the fans, it was amazing. I've gone back and seen plenty of AJ Styles X Division matches and TNA matches and all that. It just felt right to see AJ Styles back in a TNA ring, back under the TNA umbrella. It was amazing. Loved seeing that moment. And the Hardys winning a ladder match. Jeff Hardy doing some of the stuff he did was crazy. Like, it still feels like he's not, getting up there in age. You see some wrestlers around his age, especially if they've done stuff like he's done, they're not even doing some of the stuff. I saw his swanton bomb onto people on the ladder. AJ Francis landed right on his balls on the ladder. That looked like it hurt like a lot. I recommend watching Stevie Richards' video on that. Crazy ladder match. Matt and Jeff are the TNA tag team champions once again, which is kind of interesting to think of, as TNA's right now going on this thing where a bunch of WWE guys are having, or NXT and WWE guys are having, and girls are having their belts, right? And with rumors of Matt and Jeff coming back to WWE for a little bit, it's kind of funny thinking they have the tag titles, because TNA could just have like no belts pretty much, other than their Knockouts tag team belts. Speaking of having all the belts, Trick Williams, even as a heel, he's trying to be. The crowd was so loud for him in TNA Slammiversary. Like, it's hard to argue that he shouldn't have the titles, or the title, because the pop was huge. His freaking entrance was awesome. Him getting sung out to the ring was amazing. as much as I wanted Mike Santana to win, and I know countless others wanted to, and they probably should have pulled the trigger, it's also like right now NXT is kind of being portrayed as the bad organization because they have all their heels winning all the TNA titles, with JC Jane beating Masha Slamovich, which, when I started thinking about it, makes the most sense. Like, if Masha wins, then it's kind of just over. Like, oh, TNA won. Even though I think they should have got a win because they've been losing quite a bit. I mean, it makes sense. Having the heel, JC Jane, have it and be like, oh, I'm holding your belts captive. It's going to make the payoff so much better when someone like a Masha Slamovich or a Killer Kelly or even, I don't know, Indy Hartwell. You know, when they finally take back the title that's rightfully theirs, you know, it's going to make the moment feel a lot more special and a lot bigger instead of just, oh, well, I guess NXT lost their belt. You know, that's why I think the Trick Williams losing the belt there was going to be a massive payoff. But now that you have Trick Williams and JC Jane holding the TNA titles in NXT, it's now looking as a thing of, oh, NXT's holding our belts hostage. We need to rescue them now. So maybe if they move the Santana and Joe Hendry, Trick Williams triple threat back, or just didn't have the Masha Slamovich versus JC Jane title unification match, it would have made a lot more sense to have Mike Santana win. But looking at it, having all the heels keep everything makes the most sense. You know, make them look more foul, mean, all that stuff, to make the payoff all the more special. I wouldn't be surprised if Trick Williams and JC Jane loses their title on the same night to, you know, the most over person. Mike Santana, I still think, is going to be the one to beat Trick Williams. He hasn't had a one-on-one title shot yet. You know, he's only been in a triple threat. Looking at JC Jane, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Masha Slamovich that is the one to dethrone her. You know, get her title back. So just overall, Slammiversary was absolutely amazing to watch. Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander. Great match. Honestly loved every minute of it. So Slammiversary was just overall really fun to watch. Really cool to see everything that happened. Highlight of it was definitely AJ Styles returning, which I know feels weird, but just hearing I Am one more time was just so good. I'm a person that loves the music the most in wrestling. Like, I love the wrestling. I love everything about it. But the music is just always something that sticks out. Maybe it's, you know, my time being a musician previously before I started this podcast and all that. But it's just the music. That's the first thing I want to show people. I want to show them the music. Show them, you know, why I love this is because the music is amazing. It's because the wrestling is awesome. Everything about it. There's nothing you can't like about wrestling in a way. You know, there's something for everyone. And I'll stand by that forever. Now let's get on to the podium moments of the week, in Anthony's opinion. At number 3, this is something we didn't touch on, but I will touch on it real quick. Ethan Page's tribute to North America, redesigning that North American Championship with a touch of red and white. Honestly, that segment was gold. The crowd just booing him as much as they booed him was amazing to see. It was so good. Santino coming out, and then, hey, this Tuesday, Santino versus Ethan Page for that. No, it's not for that title. It's non-title. That is great. It was a great segment all around. Ethan Page, as Santino would put it. He actually got correctly all the Italian names, which makes complete sense. Number 2, I got to give it to Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer at Monday Night Raw. It was a great match to see. I was debating on either putting this or Karrion Kross finally getting a win, but I think it's quite clear. Io versus Vaquer was amazing. Originally, like I said, Karrion was going to be number 2, but Io and Vicaire tore the house down. It was an amazing match. I can't wait to see that for like a championship a year down the line, 2 years down the line, somewhere. Maybe even less than a year, you know? Stephanie's got that title shot coming up. Never know. And then finally, number 1 slot. I'm just going to put all of TNA Slammiversary. I was trying to put separate things, but the whole top 3 would be covered in Slammiversary moments. So TNA Slammiversary, they really did an amazing job with this pay-per-view. It was great, or PLE. It was amazing to see. Everything about it was great, honestly. I think it was one of the best shows I've seen, besides like Evolution, which I wish I started this podcast or this weekly podcast a little sooner, because so much I could talk about Evolution. I don't think there was a single bad thing about Evolution. It was amazing. Amazing all around. They really need more women's pay-per-views, honestly. Yeah, honestly, that's all I got to say. Slammiversary was amazing, top to bottom. It was a great crowd, great atmosphere, great card, great performers, great, you know? So yeah, that's Anthony's podium moments of the week. And it does look like we are at the end of what I wanted to talk about this week. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first ever Podium Weekly Series episode. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And again, huge thanks to Pure Pro Wrestling. And if anyone wants to sponsor Podium with Anthony, please DM me on Instagram at Podium with Anthony, or go to my website, which is also linked in my Instagram, and send me a message over there. Be sure to follow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and Spotify, all under the Podium with Anthony name. I think TikTok, though, is Anthony Podium. And yeah, we will be here next time. And I can't promise any interviews just yet. I don't like promising that until I get the file in my hand, and nothing will go wrong. This has been Anthony, and that was Podium.